Morning, gifted crafters. It's crafting time.
Me and my friends are having a great time. It's not face to face, it's all online. We're all in our homes, miles away. Love them like my family, what can I say? My crafting show is on, it's my time for me. Laughter, tips and tricks, this is what I need. We're here to have fun, we're all in the zone. When crafting with friends, you're never alone. Don't call or text me, it's about to begin. I've been patient, time for me to chime in. Comfy clothes on, feeling just fine. I'm busy right now, it's crafting show time. My crafting show is on, it's my time for me. Laughter, tips and tricks, this is what I need. We're here to have fun, we're all in the zone. When crafting with friends, you're never alone. The host came on, they are truly a gem. Here for the show and to chat with my friends. Chat with each other about this and that. We share ideas, wisdom, and other fun facts. My crafting show is on, it's my time for me. Laughter, tips, and tricks, this is what I need. We're here to have fun, we're all in the zone. When crafting with friends, you'll never...
Live from the Sunshine State in Miami, Florida, here is the Gifted Crafters Morning Show with Nancy.
Let's have a good time. Ooh, time to get our craft on. Ooh, time to have fun. Ooh, time to feel good.
Hey Gifted Crafters, and welcome back to the Gifted Crafters Morning Show. Good morning out there. Alrighty, yeah, a bit of a crazy morning this morning, but we're here now and we're all good. Good morning, everyone. Let's see who we have out there. We've got people from Florida. I see Maryland. I see North Central Texas. Good morning. We've got people from all over the world tuning in, and it's just a wonderful way for us crafters to kind of just, bind together and do share all kinds of tips and tricks and stuff. It's really amazing. Thank you guys all for tuning in this morning. I see we've got our friends from Canada. Good morning. We've got San Antonio, Texas. We've got my sister, Boricua Sewing and Crafts here from Virginia. We've got North Carolina. Good morning to all of you. Alrighty, pretty exciting day. We've got a lot to talk about. A lot went on yesterday. If you haven't tuned in, and I see some people on the chat talking about it already. Yeah, lots of things going on, and we're going to take a deeper dive into some of that. Good morning from Southern California, Louisiana. Good morning. Thank you all for tuning in this morning. I really appreciate all the support you guys give me. in the morning. And we just like to, if you're tuning in for the first time, first of all, my name is Nancy. I'm with GiftsHQ, and we just like to just have this nice little stitchy chatter. We just like to talk and do some little projects, maybe some demos. Anything crafty related is something that we like to kind of do. And so we do all kinds of projects together. Sometimes we do little demos, show and tells, unboxings, things like that. So it's all fun and we just have a great time. So if that's something you're into, you're definitely in the right spot. Pop into the chat because we got a really good community out there and we like to share all kinds of things with each other and help each other out. So alrighty, we've got Pennsylvania. Good morning, and good morning to you. Alrighty, so let's do first things first, guys. We've got to grab our little drink. Of course, I'll pour you a cup. Why would I not, right? Let's go ahead and pour you a cup of coffee or soda or water or whatever it is that you have in the morning. There's no judgment here. Raise your little glasses off to another toast for another beautiful day. I'm going to take another swivel myself. Oh, that feels so good in the morning. Yes. Okay. Feels like it just, rejuvenates you. Coffee and bagel, please. Yes, yes. We're going to get to the snacks. Don't worry. We'll be getting to the snacks in just a few. We have our little drinks, and I hope you guys are in your little cozy spot. So, okay, why don't we do that? We're going to do our little exercise. We're going to bring out the food cart today because we need to kind of stretch out a little bit today. Got to get our exercise in for the week. So, let's go ahead. You'll take a bucket of coffee. Oh boy. Well, we've got our little food cart coming out right now. It's got some more coffee on there, but you can get all kinds of snacks, bagels. You've got the bagels, the blueberry muffin. Yes, Baker McFig will have that muffin for you. No problem. We've got all kinds of snacks and goodies, and it's all free and virtual. So you can have as much of it as you want. There's no calories and it just tastes fantastic. Yes, we got veggies and kale for the healthy people as well. Alrighty, you're at work and you need it? Yeah. There's a few of us that need that in the morning, right? We've got to get fueled up, right? So now that we're all fueled up with our snacks and our coffee, and hopefully you're in your little cozy spot or at least in an area where you can watch, all right? Let's go ahead and dive into what we're going to be talking about today. So I saw some people kind of mentioned it in the chat. Brother has come out with their new lineup for 2025. So they have the new sewing machine, the new embroidery machine, and the new 10 needle machine. So that's going to be part of our crafting news. So let's go ahead and head over to the crafting news so I can tell you a little bit more about it. Okay. Let's see. So we've all been kind of anticipating what they were going to come up with. So they didn't come up with just one, not two, but they came up with 3 brand new machines. And they're basically, some things that we're kind of familiar with and others, we're happy with, right? So let's see. The first one up is the Celeste CX1. Now, this is a sewing machine only. It's got 760 built-in stitches, and it's everything from practical stitches to decorative stitches, and you can even design your own stitch, which I thought was pretty cool. Now you've got a 10-inch touchscreen. That's pretty nice because you're able to kind of see things a lot better and move around on this. It's got the Move It dual feed, foot that keeps track of those tricky little fabrics like velvet and like leather, things like that, that kind of glide real smooth. It's got a free motion quilters. For us free motion quilters, it's got the intelligent stitch regulator. I thought that was pretty cool. I did like that feature. And it just makes sure that, you know, your stitches are staying regulated no matter how fast or slow you are doing your free motion. So that's pretty neat. And it's got a laser guide, which I was very happy to see on a sewing machine. It's got, of course, the knee lifter, a wide extension table, tons of presser feet, and it's basically a really nice sewing machine with all the playground stuff that we like in one machine. So I was actually kind of impressed with the sewing machine. I think they did a good job on the sewing machine, but a little disappointed that it wasn't a combo machine though. But I'm really curious to know what the price is, and they didn't indicate that anywhere on there. So being that it's a sewing machine only, I'm guessing the price is going to be a little bit lower. So maybe they are trying to, the audience they're trying to pick up is those with the budget. So appreciate that though. So we will be curious to figure out how much that costs. So then they have their second machine, which is the Celeste CX1E, and this is their embroidery only machine. It's got a pretty good embroidery area, 9.5 by 14, which I thought that's pretty cool. It's got 523 built-in designs, 26 fonts. It's got the matrix copy feature, so you can fill in your hoop. So if you're someone who really does a lot of patches and you're trying to like fill up your hoop with as many that you can do in one time, that's a pretty nice feature to have. It repeats the designs in just like seconds, and you can thick your borders, you can do quilt blocks, you can do you know, a whole lot of patches and things like that all at once. So that's pretty cool. Plus it's got a 2-point laser positioning for spot on placement. That's very handy. It's got, of course, the wireless connectivity. It sends things straight, that sends the design straight from your computer to your tablet. And it's got things like jump stitch trimming and automatic color sorting. So they've got some nice features in there. Didn't see anything, of course, like the Avenir where it kind of wowed us and it was just, wow, it was great. Although they're still having some issues with it, but you know, I think things are going to start turning around and they're going to start, you know, kind of helping out with the Avenir and doing some of that patchwork. Unfortunately, it wasn't done when it first launched, but I think that, you know, it's really going to be coming along nicely. And then, of course, they had a third machine, and this was the PR1060W, which was a 10 needle. It's a multi-needle embroidery machine. It's pretty much for anyone who's like a small business owner or who just loves to, you know, kind of go big and things like that. It shares the matrix copy magic, but it's on a multi-needle scale. You can do stitch complex, multicolored designs without stopping to rethread. It's got this tubular frame accessory, which means that you can embroider like on curves, items like sleeves, tote bags, things like that, without kind of wrestling with the fabric so much. And of course, you get your automatic threading, you got your fast production speeds, and of course, Brother is known for its precision. So those were the three machines that came out yesterday, and I'm going to show you where you can go to see just a couple of more specs and things on those. We're going to jump over to my laptop in just a few, but you know, they're pretty good machines. Some people, I think, looked at it and was kind of like, well, they're great machines, but they didn't really see anything that wowed them. So, you know, it kind of depends where you are on your sewing journey and what machines you have. I would really like to compare it to the Luminaire. Like, I think the Luminaire is just still, at least for a lot of the people that I talk to, Luminaire and Stellar seems to be on the top there. Yeah, a lot of people are saying, yeah, you love your Stellaire. Yeah, some people are saying they love their Luminaire. And those were really the top-notch machines. And I really don't think I have seen anything that has beaten that just yet. So, you know, you can kind of compare and contrast. Now, these are two separate machines, right? One is just sewing and one is just embroidery, where your Luminaire, you have that combo option, right? So you've got both in one. And the 10 needle, yeah, a 10 needle didn't really wow you either. So I think it kind of felt like they were kind of pressured into getting something out, and they didn't have enough time to really make something different than what was really out there. But I do like that the sewing machine now kind of has a little bit more options all in one. It's just that it's just the sewing machine. So I'm expecting that price to be down a little bit, but I don't know, because I haven't seen the prices yet. But yeah. Linda says, good morning all, Nancy and Mr. H. Oh, you received your mini press from the giveaway. Awesome, Linda. Well, thank you. I'm so glad you received it. And I hope you have a lot of fun with that. Just take some pictures of the projects that you're making with that iron, and I'd love to see what you're doing. We still had one person, and I can't remember who it was, but I did have one person, they haven't sent an email to claim their prize. So if that is you, please do so by tomorrow, because I would really like to get it out before we leave for Sarasota. So please, please, please send that out if you haven't already, because we need to kind of verify some information before we can send it out to you. So that will be it for the giveaway. All the other items have been shipped out. So if you're one of the lucky winners, that should be on its way to you. So heads up on that one. Okay. Annette says it's definitely not like the Avenir. Yeah, it's more like a split Stellaire too. I compared them and I'm a little disappointed. They keep making machines with higher price tags and no big differences. Yeah, I think a lot of people kind of felt like that. Like I said, I was a little impressed with the sewing machine, but for the others, it was kind of like, I didn't see anything that really wowed me to death. So, but let's take a look at that. Okay, so let's jump over. I've got our project that we're going to be working on today, and it's the Halloween wreath. Again, if you haven't tuned in this week, we've been working on the Halloween wreath, and it's got several different freestanding lace items. You've got your ghost, your cat, your pumpkin, your little Frankenstein, the witch, and the bat. And so we've been working on these and putting them together, and then we'll be putting the wreath all together. And so I've got my hoop here, and while we're talking about these machines, we can have this stitching in the background. So I've got my 2 layers of water-soluble stabilizer on my hoop, and I'm going to go ahead and put that on the machine and get us going here. And we are doing the pumpkin today. I've already done one, and so here is what it looks like. And this is what it looks like. I've just did fabric, right? And so I picked my fabrics to be this orange here as my background for the pumpkin itself. I've got this piece of fabric right here as the stem, and then I have this green for the little leaf. So that's what I'm using for the pumpkin. I'm just going to make that second one here, and this one is pretty easy, guys. I didn't use any weird materials or anything like that. I couldn't really find anything that would go well with it, so we're just going to do straight fabrics for this one. and then go ahead and stitch that one out. So let's go ahead. I'm going to head over to the embroidery machine, and I'm going to put this hoop right into the machine. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and look for my design in the machine. I've got my USB in there, and so I hit the USB button, and I'm just going to pull up the design. It's just the pumpkin. We're going to set it. Of course, we're going to go ahead and trace it. So we like to trace it to make sure that it's going to fit the hoop and nothing is in the way and everything is exactly the way we want it. And that looks good. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. I'm going to hit the embroidery button here. And it's first going to want to do a little outline. And so I'm just going to go ahead for the outline. You've got different ones that they're going to stitch out, and it's only about a minute each. So I'm just going to use the same thread. I'm just going to use a white thread to do this here. Whoops. Let me go back. Hold on. There we go. I keep tangling up my thread. There we go. And I'm going to bring my foot down, and I'm going to go ahead and thread my needle. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit start, and it's going to do the little placement line for the pumpkin. And so the first thing you're going to want to do is grab your batting, and I'm using the batting. I cut up a little piece. All of the specs for cutting the material are inside the instructions. So I am using water soluble stabilizer, 2 layers of it. And because these are freestanding lace, and so I'm going to be putting my batting in place here. Oh, it did not. Oh yeah, see, my thread is getting stuck here. So give me a second. I'm going to need to rethread my machine. And let me just cut my thread, and I'm going to rethread it here because it did not like. Looks like it pulled on it, and it looks like my cone was sitting on the thread. So I'm going to try this again. I have the pretty large cone, but it wasn't set right. So I'm going to just redo that and put that on top. Let's rethread this again. Okay, that should be better. Okay, so it kind of stopped midway, so I'm going to hit the plus sign, and I'm going to go back. I'll do a -10. Actually, I'm going to hit it again. I'll do a -20. Just so it can go back and redo those stitches. And you can always do that if your machine gives you some kind of issue. You can always hit the plus/minus sign and just go back either a whole thread color, or you can go back a couple of steps, 10 steps, 100 steps. It has these little preset numbers to jump you, or you can just keep hitting the single stitch and go back 1 or 2 stitches. So yeah, so it's finished with the outline. So I'm going to go ahead and get the batting now. And I think some of you guys are making this along with me, and you're posting the pictures on Facebook, which is awesome. So I really love to see that. And I think it's great that you guys are doing this with me. It's a lot of fun. So let's go ahead now, and I'm leaving the same thread color. It's just going to tack down the batting. So this is the tack down line. And it's going to go ahead and hold on to that batting now. And then once it's done with that one, we're going to go ahead and put our fabric on, and that will be the first piece that we put in here. Yeah, I think it was Marilyn that did this on our Facebook group. So she posted her pictures, and those awesome because I like to see the different fabric choices that everyone makes for the different characters. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so once it's done, we're going to have to pull it off our hoop, and we're going to have to trim off that batting. So let's do that. I'll lift up my presser foot, and I'm going to grab my hoop here, and we're going to bring this over. And some of these stitches are just all so quick. They're only like a minute. But sometimes you do forget. And I've done this a couple of times where you're stitching something and you forget to take it off the hoop and trim it. So that's why it's kind of good sometimes if you can use your scan and cut to pre-cut some of these, because then you don't have to trim it, right? So that makes it a little bit easier. But I'm just doing it the old-fashioned way of just trimming the batting right on the hoop. Now you do want to make sure you are on a flat surface when you're doing this, so that way you don't poke any holes in that water-soluble stabilizer, and you can get a nice close cut on next to your seam line there. You don't want to cut into your seam line, but you want to be very close as you can get. And some of these scissors are just amazing. They really get you nice and close. But do your initial cut, and then you can kind of go back and trim. You're going to have a satin stitch that's going to go all the way around the outline of the pumpkin. But you want to get as close as you can because you don't want any of your batting to be sticking out. So just trim along as close as you can. And then you can kind of go in and just, you know, do the little haircut, you know. Give it a little haircut as close as you can, just to kind of pull all the batting out of the way. And this is kind of what it should look like. And you can see here, you've got this nice and close, really trimmed up there, okay? You tape a safety pin upside down to the back of the material to feed your thread up before following the thread guides. Okay. All right, so let me put this into the machine here. All righty. And I'm going to go ahead and it's going to tack this down, but I'm going to go ahead and put this in. Got my fabric. You do need to make sure that you're covering the entire outline on here. I've got plenty of fabric there, and then I'm just going to lower my presser foot, and I'm going to go ahead and hit the button. And it's going to tack that down for me. And now let's head over to the laptop, and we can kind of take a look at some of the stuff going on here. Because another thing that I do print out when I print out the instructions. Oh, Krista was talking about the machine, not the material. Okay. Awesome. So one thing I'd like to print out in the instructions, when you print out your instructions for Design by Juju, they also give you a little extra piece where you have like the thumbnails of them, and you can see all of the color stops that you're going to have for each one of these. And so here is the pumpkin here, and on the pumpkin it's telling you here there's 16 steps here, and it gives you a little bit of information in terms of how many stitches there are, how many color changes there are, and some additional information that you can use to just kind of prep for that. Let me see if I can get it a little closer so you guys can see some of that here. There you go. And so it tells you, you know, there's colors stops. There's 15 different stops for this, and you know, it'll tell you a lot of information that really will help to kind of prep you for when you're doing this. Okay, I think she does a great job in terms of laying out the information that you need and just giving you the cutting instructions and all that. She does a pretty good job on that, and so you're able to follow these with some really nice picture designs, and then she gives you a design layout. And so this is what the layout looks like. So this is like her, you know, how she put it together. So if you wanted to do it exactly like this, you could follow this along too. So I think that was pretty neat that she does that. So those are some of the ones that she suggests, but again, you can also lay this out to be like a table runner. You don't have to do a wreath if you don't want to do a wreath. And it's really cool because you can do a lot of things with these freestanding laces. I just love how you have them on both sides, whether you're doing the ghost or you're doing the cat, you know, you've got them on both sides. So that's really, really neat. And I think that these turn out just so cute, and doing with different materials is a lot of fun just to see how they turn out. So I think it's pretty cool. Alrighty, so yeah, freestanding lace is super easy. Just change the threads and press go. Exactly, Heather. I really love that. It's really nice. Okay, so let me see here, take a quick little peek here. We've got our orange here, and I'm going to go ahead and take it off the hoop again. Yep. And we're going to go ahead and cut again. We've got to cut off now. We've cut the batting off. Now we've got to cut the actual fabric off. Let me set this over to the side. And you've already cut the batting, but the batting was covering the entire pumpkin. So now you are cutting the actual fabric. Put it over here so you guys can see. We're going to be cutting the fabric. So we have this batting underneath, and this tacked down only the pumpkin side, right? It didn't do anything with the stem or the leaf. So this is still open, and we'll still have to do that piece. So we just want to cut all around the pumpkin just to show the pumpkin side. So I'm going to do that and just kind of trim all the way around. Again, as close as you can get without popping any of your stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and start off. Now I like to kind of lift my fabric and flip it over, and then I can cut really close without cutting anything else. So I just make sure that I'm nice and close to the stitches, and then I'm able to just kind of rotate around. I rotate the hoop all the way around. I am left-handed, so those of you who are right-handed will probably be doing it the opposite way from me, but doesn't matter. You'll get back to the same spot. As long as you get back there, you're good. Now, the bottom of the pumpkin has a little bit of a wave, and so it's a little hard to get. It's just a little bit of a dip, so you may want to come back and just try to trim that a little better, but just go ahead around the first time and do the best you can. Just kind of follow it around. And then the same with the top. It has a little bit of a curve. There you go. And so now let me just show you before I trim it off again. So you'll see here on the bottom, we've got a little bit of a wave. And then up on the top, you've got some waves right here. So I'm just going to go in and trim those little pieces off. And you just kind of have to get in there a little bit and just give it a tiny little trim. Just again, being really careful that you don't pop your stitches. And so we'll get in here. These tiny little pieces. And this is why people like to cut it with the scan and cut, so they don't have to do this part, right? So there we are. We've trimmed that off. And so we've got our pumpkin there. And so we're ready to kind of go back to the machine. It's going to now just kind of tack that. I'm going to grab one little snip here on a tiny little curve. on the bottom. There we go. I like that. Okay, so we'll put this back on the machine. And let's lower that presser foot. It's just gonna give it a nice little tack down there. Okay, so while the machine is doing that, we're gonna get our next piece ready. And you're still gonna need another piece for the back of your pumpkin. So we're gonna need that, but you're also gonna need like some painter's tape, or you can pin it, you know, however you'd like to pin it on the back side of the hoop. So we're gonna put that over to the side, because the next two pieces are going to be the stem, and then we're gonna have the leaf as well. Okay, let's see. Oh, Celia's asking, can you explain to us the reasoning for using water-soluble stabilizer rather than tearaway or no-show meth? I'm curious and want to know. Okay, so water-soluble stabilizer, and I'll pull it out here. So this water-soluble stabilizer is the one that I use, and this is really for your freestanding lace products. It just makes it, and you'll see it towards the very end, how easy it is to get it off the hoop. This is basically disappears with water. So you want to be really careful when you store your water-soluble stabilizer and you don't have any moisture nearby it, because it will evaporate with the water. So it's water-soluble, so it will anchor, it will serve as your anchor or as your stabilizer for your projects. And as you stitch them, it will hold it together. And then once you're done with your project and it's all stitched out and you remove it from the hoop, you add the water and it will disappear and it will leave the anchored stitches. So only your anchored stitches will show. Whereas if you use tearaway or even cutaway, if you use those heavier stabilizers, those stabilizers, the tearaway will tear away, but you'll still have the backing of that stabilizer showing. The same with the cutaway. The cutaway, you have to cut it. It will not tear. You have to take the scissors and cut it. But it's a stabilizer that remains in your project. Whereas this water soluble, it's only temporarily in your project. And then when you're done with the project, the idea is to put some water on it. You can spray a little water on it, you know, or some people just dab it with the Q-tip, but it will just disappear from your project, just dissolves, and it will leave your stitches out. So all you will have is just the stitches and the actual fabric or project that you have, and the stabilizer itself will be gone. So it's just shows, it serves as just a temporary way to anchor your stitches together, and then will disappear after with water. So yeah, it's pretty neat, the things you can do that. With the freestanding lace, you can really make so many beautiful things that will come out looking like they have the crocheted looking ones that you can use with that. And then when you do the wash away and you take that out, you just left with like a little granny square. So it's pretty cool. Lots and lots of projects that you can make with that. Okay, I think that our machine is ready to go, and it's going to, let's see, it's going to do the outline for the stem. So we're gonna need we can just go ahead and put it now. It's gonna go ahead and do the outline, and then you'll put the fabric, and then it'll tack it down on top. I'm just gonna go ahead and put it on right now. It really doesn't matter, it'll just stitch twice. And then what I'll do is I'm going to put it on here, make sure it covers that stem, because I know that's what it's going to be covering. My foot is already down, so I'm going to go ahead and hit the start button. It's going to now just outline the stem for you. And then the idea is that now you will put your fabric down and cover the stem. I've already done it, but what I'm gonna do is go ahead and take it off the hoop, and I'm gonna trim my fabric. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna trim this. And I kind of like to hold it up. It kind of helps me to trim a little closer. Now you're not taking your project off the hoop. You're just simply removing your hoop from the machine and trimming away. So make sure you do not take your project off of the hoop. And then let's go ahead and get into those little curves. And there we go. Okay. That looks pretty good. Let's see. Jenny says, Miss Nancy is so knowledgeable. Thank you for Miss Nancy for your awesome knowledge. Oh, Jenny. Jenny, you guys help me, okay? This is a community of knowledge. I think all of you guys, we share information. I mean, I don't know everything, right? I learn by doing things myself, trying things out, reading things, and I learn from you guys most of all, right? So this is just a great, great community. You know, it's just like our songs say, right? We just love learning and sharing all kinds of tips and things together. So, okay, I've gotten my stem on and it's already looking great. So let's go ahead and put it back in the machine now. And let's see here. Put this back on. We've got that all trimmed away. Probably could have trimmed this one little piece, but that's okay. I think we're good. I'm gonna lower this and I'm gonna go ahead and let it do the tack down stitch. It's gonna tack down the fabric one more time. Here we go. And then the next thing it's gonna do is it's gonna be working on the little leaf. And the little leaf really doesn't take a lot of fabric at all. It's just a tiny little square. So I have a big piece of fabric here. So I'm gonna cut just a piece out. I'll be a little generous because I wanna make sure that I cover it all. Okay, so that should be plenty. And you can see here, we're gonna come back over here. And yeah, that's plenty. As long as it covers it completely, we're good to go. So it's going to do the outline, but I'm just gonna go ahead and put my fabric in now. It's fine, it's not gonna hurt anything. And I'll just let it run. I get a little nervous with these little pieces because you see that kind of move a little bit, but they pretty much stay right on. So that's why I like to be a little bit generous just in case it gives it a little bit of shift. Then you'll be able to be saved a little bit, because if it does tilt a little and you do it too small, you know, then it can move on you. So like when you're doing things with your scan and cut, and you're cutting them with your scan and cut, you're cutting it really to size, which is why we use the heat and bond light on the back of them. And we press it down with the heat and bond light first before you stitch it out, because that will really anchor it down and it won't shift around on you. And since you're cutting that to size, you really have to anchor it down first, because if it shifts, it will move and it will not place in the right direction. So make sure that you do that if you're cutting out your pieces with your scan and cut. Okay, so let's lift this up. I'm gonna take this off the hoop again. And let's go back to our table here. And again, we're gonna just trim this off, go all around the outline of the leaf. This one is a pretty easy one to do. It doesn't have too many curves or anything like that, so it's not too bad. Yeah. Yeah, we do use a lot of cameras. I can tell you that. So Lisa said she loves how we get in close and you see what we're doing. Yeah, we have like 7 different cameras going on here. Yeah, all thanks to Mr. H, right? He's got us spoiled, right? We've got all our cameras angles going on. And let me tell you, it's a lot of work and it's kind of tough, because, you know, cameras go down, they're not focused, you know, so there's a lot of work behind that, but I think he does a great job with that. So I just really like for that, so that you guys can really see, because I do see some crafting channels out there, and sometimes, you know, they're doing something that's great, but then I can't really see what they're doing sometimes, and you know, sometimes you don't really learn all of it because you're just kind of like, oh, I didn't get to see that. So it helps when you have the little camera angles here. Okay, let me grab one more piece and then I'm going to show you how it came out. That's good enough. Let's get this water soluble stabilizer out of the way. So this is what it's looking like so far. There we go. And so it's nice and close up into the stitch line. And so it's ready. And now it's going to tack this down, and then it's just going to start doing the decorative stitches that go on the pumpkin, which are pretty cool because right now it looks pretty. It's just kind of plain Jane. And now we're just going to spice it up with the embroidery, right? It's just going to do some really fun designs on here. So we've got like a little bit of fraying going on here. Like I've got this one little thread sticking up here. And you can cut those out, but it's really not going to matter because the satin stitch is going to go on in the end. And the satin stitch is going to cover all of this, which is why I really didn't care about the thread color that I was using here, because all of this is just going to be covered all around here. And all of these are going to be covered with satin stitches. And it's going to be of the color that the machine tells us to do. It's not going to be this white color. So it's going to come out fantastic. Let's get it back onto the machine. Alrighty, I'm gonna move this back over here. Okay, and let's lower that foot and let it do the little tack down piece. Okay, we still have the big piece of fabric that's going to go on the back of the pumpkin. Okay, and get that little painter's tape ready because you're going to need that in a few. Let's see where it's going to go now. So now it's asking us to change the thread color, and it's going to do this really pretty, kind of like a copperish color. I think it's really neat. I think it's a very pretty color. It's number 339 on Sim Thread. Oop, I've got that backwards for you. There we go. Yeah, 339 on Sim Thread. Of course, it's 100% polyester, and I think it's really nice. Let me take the hugger off. I like to use these little huggers to keep my threads in place. Otherwise, they start kind of dangling out like this one here, see? So let's go ahead and change that. So I'm going to grab my little scissors, and I'm going to go ahead and cut my thread. And then I am going to put my new thread on top, and I'm going to just do a little knot to kind of marry the two together. My white thread and my new thread, which is my copper-like thread. I'm going to do my little knot right here, and then I'm going to lift up the presser foot. That will release the tension on your machine, and then you're able to kind of just pull the white thread from the bottom. And then you'll see your little knot with the new thread coming through. Okay, that's the proper way to kind of change that. Got a little gunky on my needle there, or do I? No, that was me. Okay, so once you've done that, then you can kind of bring it over and cut the thread and do that automatic needle threader. Of course, we love that feature, right? And then I'm gonna go ahead and hit start. And it's going to do a pretty cool little design coming down on the pumpkin that's going to outline it a little bit there. So that one just takes a minute, and then we're going to have to change our thread again. And the next thread color is, for me, it's a Sim Thread. Since I'm using Sim Thread, it's number 124. And at first I wasn't sure. It looks like a little pinkish to me, but it actually is a really pretty color. And so we're almost there. I know we're running low on the time, so let's try to do this quickly. Once again, I'm going to take my thread off, and I'm going to put my new thread in and do the little knot. Yep. Come on. There we go. Do the little knot there, and then I'm going to pull my thread after I lift up my presser foot. Got my new thread, and lower that presser foot, and then go ahead and cut the threads and go ahead and hit start. And so it's going to do a pretty deep little fill right now. And now it's going to do the little cheeks. That's what the little pink thing is for. So it's going to do the little cheeks right here. So I know we're running pretty low on time. So I'll go ahead and we'll continue to finish this off. But we've got our little cheeks in place. After that, I'll put this down here. It's doing the little cheeks, and then it's going to ask for another thread change so that you can do the little eyes, this background here, and then it's going to do another thread change to do the little eyeballs over here. And then after that, it's really just doing the rest of the satin stitching all the way around, and that's when it's asking for that overall stitch, and that's when you're going to put in that back fabric. So what I'll do is leave it here, and then tomorrow we'll pick it up where we left off. That way we can see that, because I know we're really low on the time. Okay, so I know we're out of time. Tomorrow we will pick it up and finish up this pumpkin so you guys can see all of the steps. Thank you guys all for tuning in today. I really appreciate all of your support. Hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope to be crafting with you soon. Bye, everyone.
So long for now, so long. Glad you stayed a while. Hope you liked my crafting style. Hope I left you with a smile. By now, keep your mind and space clutter-free. Hope your day is bright as can be. So long, my friends, till we craft once again. Bye now, stay crafting. See you tomorrow. So long, my friends, till we craft once again.